Okay, so I'm making this video to kind of show you how you would go about resizing your ads. So for the Photoshop Static Web Ad project, if you read over the project worksheet, I want 3 different sizes of the same ad. So, and I'm going to want both the PSD and JPEG files for those ads. So 320 by 50 is one size, 336 by 280 is one size, and 300 by 600 is one size that I'm wanting of all the same ad. So if we go into Photoshop, let's say I, made this ad. It's of a chosen company that is kind of more of a global or international company. No local businesses, please. I did a good job of matching fonts and colors to the brand. So go on their website, look at their colors, look at their typography that they're using, the text, the kind of fonts that they're using, and try and match them as close as you can. And then just, a simple background with a button with a call to action on it, the logo, and, possibly, obviously, a headline and possibly a subhead as well. Just read over that project worksheet to make sure you've met all the requirements that I've asked for. And then, so here's all my layers so I'm in the PSD file, and I'm at the 336 by 280 is the one I designed first because it's a square and I just wanted to start with that size. So let's just make sure we have the PSD saved, Command S, but now we can actually go and save out the JPEG of this same file. So File, Export, Export As. You can also do Save for Web, but I think Export As is a little bit easier in some ways. So we want to make this a JPEG, because that's what I asked for on the project worksheet. This is the size. Export, and then it'll ask you, where do you want me to save this? And I definitely suggest in your documents having a Graphic Design 340 folder for Electronic Design 2, and then having a project folder. So the static Photoshop, I wouldn't name it static Photoshop web ads. Is a good folder name. You can put spaces in folder names, but not in file names. You can use underscores or camel case in file names. Camel case is where you use capital letters to separate words, or underscores can separate words as well. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG in my project folder in my documents under my Graphic Design 340 folder. That's a good way to organize your files. Push save. And so now I'll have a PSD and a JPEG of this file size, of this size. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how to go about, once you've saved out your JPEG and your Photoshop file of your, ad, your web ad, you can do a file save as in Photoshop. And then let's change the size. We're going to do 300 next. So the next ad I'm going to make is the 300 by 600 size. And I didn't just randomly choose these sizes. These are popular sizes for the web. The most popular, the most clicked on sizes, the ones that people tend to interact with the most. And some sizes do better than other sizes. So I chose the most popular sizes that perform the best on the web, basically, is kind of how I went about doing it. So now that we changed the name of this now, so it's basically almost exactly the same as the last, but we changed it from 300 by 600. So, and then once we've saved that out, make sure you do the file save as first and change the file name before you actually go into the properties panel here. If the properties panel is not showing up, go to Window, Properties, and make sure that this is checked, and it should show up over here. And then we can see the width and the height here, so we can actually change this to 300 wide by, and it might ask you some questions, and then 600 tall. And that's all you need to do. It'll make it, you might have to push return, and it'll make it the size that, I asked for, 300 by 600. And then you're just going to have to go through each layer and just, Command T. And you're just going to have to size everything up, basically. And it might actually work a little better for you if you start with the biggest size first, like the 300 by 600, and then move into the smaller sizes. And actually I would suggest going that route, because sometimes if you change the size of certain things, like pictures from small to big in Photoshop, sometimes you'll get really blurry images. So if you're noticing a lot of your images are really blurry, that could be why. So this, I'm just gonna, oops. So I'm just going through and resizing things or moving things around, making sure I'm, you know, on the right layer. We're trying to be on the right layer here. I might have to use my keyboard for some of this. You know, just resize things the best way you can, you know, like just try and get it looking the way that you think it should. Let's see. So I can push Shift on my keyboard to get both things selected at the same time, and then I can hold down Shift and push the down arrow to move it by increments of 10, so it moves a little bit quicker. And I'm just going to move it down to the bottom of the canvas just because I think, you know, being able to see Cowan Hall is nice. I can even cover up this car and then even move this down just a little bit so that I have like the same spacing here and here and here and here, make sure everything is looking good. You know, if there was more sky in this picture, I would put Study Graphic Design on more of a solid color so that it pops out better, but I'm not going to do that in this video just for the sake of saving time, because I could just copy paste this file and then, you know, make 2 of these background images of Cowan Hall and then flip one to make the sky continue. So, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So, I don't know. I think this looks okay. I mean, it's not amazing. I mean, hopefully you can come up with a little bit more creative solutions to the sizing. And one thing, you know, with this is since we have more space, maybe we want to put this on 3 lines. You know, we have more vertical space. So, you know, maybe we can change the proportions of the, you know, change the size of the fonts and, you know, maybe we can always go into window character and, you know, use this all caps here. See if we like that. And maybe, yeah, maybe even add in a couple, you know, maybe even a little bit more space here. Bring this down to kind of make room for it. We don't want to make it too far from each other, like these 2 things, because it might not read as a whole anymore, but like you could add in like a little like decorative something here, like a decorative line or something. Find like a PNG file online with some sort of decorative, or you could even make one, you know, with a brush or something, but you could add in some sort of decorative dotted line here. Or even bring in like a ring or some sort. Okay, so here I'm kind of looking at it like a coffee stain ring. I'm looking at images. You know, I could pull one of these images, you know, and make it, let's see, do control, save image to downloads. I did a control, like a right click on it, and then we could bring it into, you know, Photoshop, file, open, go into downloads, have this on list by date modified so I can find it right at the top of the list. And then I can do image mode grayscale to make it black and white, and then Command L to change the levels, and we can bring the levels maybe all the way to black. I don't know if this is going to work or not with this file, but no, it's not working great with this file, but and then maybe like select color range, we could select the black. And so that's just going to select the black. And then we can do Command C. Actually, let's do Command I to inverse it. So instead of black, it's white now. And we can do Command C, bring it in here and do Command V, and then Command T. And this isn't like perfect. Like you might want to find a different file that this that this would work a little bit better on, but we can just Command T to transform it. But, you know, you could do something like this, you know, like add a little graphical element around study or something. And maybe study graphic design would be, you know, more together. And then under the big sky would be like under here or something. Something like that, I guess, is what I had in mind. It actually doesn't look too bad. So you could try to be a little more creative with it. You're going to get better grade if you know, try to use your space more wisely. Since I had so much space, I had space to bring in an extra graphical element. So if you do that, that's going to kind of help you out with this project. But okay, so if I do, you know, a Command S, that's our PSD file, and then we can just do another file, export as, and then we can export out a JPEG of this as well, because I want the PSD and a JPEG of each size that you make. Export, we're going to put it in the same folder, so leave everything the same, just make sure it has a different extension, JPEG extension, and then we'll just do file save as, and we will save out the next size, which I believe is 50 by, let's see, 320 by 50. So we're going to change the name, save that, and then we can go ahead and make this 320 by 50, push enter, proceed. So this is a way different size, right? So we're going to have to shrink everything down, rearrange the canvas, and, you know, make sure we save out the PSD, Command S, just the most recent changes, and then do the file export as a JPEG. And then I'll want all 6 of those files in Brightspace by the 29th, I believe, or just check the due date on the project worksheet. But this is, you know, what your naming conventions and files should look like. That should be in Brightspace, you know, 2 of each size, a PSD and a JPEG, named with the size on the end, so that, you know, if you're searching through your files, you can immediately tell what size that ad is just from the file name. And using camel case, which is capital letters in between words or underscores in between words, works well too. So and then just submit those by the due date, and yeah, you'll be good for this project. Let me know if you have any questions.